So this morning, if you haven't catch the theme already, it's basically reflecting your mirror image. And so what we do is we do reflect each other's image. When we come across someone that might not exactly feel right to us, maybe we should look a little bit at ourselves. Because sometimes what happens is they are reflecting back things that maybe we don't want to see about ourselves. But the way God works is it shows us. It shows us what is being reflected back, what we need to know, what it is about us that we question. It's like, well, what is that person reflecting back to me? We walk away and eventually we'll get it. We'll say, oh, yeah, I had an attitude about that, didn't I? I guess I got to work on that. There's a story about a company, and one day their higher ups said, you know, we have this. It said, actually, they said, they posted a sign. Yesterday, the person who has been hindering your growth in this company has passed away. We invite you to join the funeral in the room that has been prepared in the gym. And the people were like, okay, wow, I wonder who it was that passed away. And everybody was kind of doing a head count and trying to figure out who it was. And they're like, well, everybody appears to be here. So who was it? Maybe it was somebody in, HR. Okay. So eventually, when the time came, they all filed into the gym and there was a coffin. And they were all asked to go by the coffin. Well, when they went by the coffin, there was a simple mirror in the coffin. And basically, what they saw was their own selves. So, what was reflecting back is they were hindering their own highest good. They were hindering their own job performance. And so, this was an amazing way that the company let them know, hey, I know you're better than this. I know you're an awesome person, and I know you can do better. Sometimes we look in our mirrors and we don't often see that. We see, oh, maybe a few extra pounds or, other things that we don't really agree with. And we think, well, I wish I could change that reflection in the mirror. And Ernest Holmes said, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what they think into it. So when you're looking into that big mirror of life, what are you thinking? What are you thinking into your mirror? What is it that you see that's bouncing back at you? Is it good? Is it doubt? What are you really, really seeing? And when we look into our own personal mirrors, I'm going to ask you a few questions here. What are you looking at? Are you looking at your overall body, which is the first thing we usually look at, and then we start nitpicking and saying, well, I could do this, I could tuck that, I could dye my hair, whatever it is. We look at the physical body and we already start doubting ourselves. What's the next question is, what are you really looking for? Are you looking in that mirror for an answer that you can't seem to find? What are you looking for, really, that you can't see? And the other is, what are you looking with? Are you looking with your heart or are you looking with your head? Are you looking with your heart or are you looking with your head? We sometimes look at with our head and we declare that we're a varsity loser. that we dwell in the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Why didn't I do that? I should have done that. I would have done this. And yet, that mirror, that image that we have is still a beautiful light because whatever you made that decision in was the right one at the time. The mirror reflects an image, yes, but it can also reflect the desires in your heart and the desired reality that you really want to create and live. So let's look at the mirror in a different way. Instead of it looking at the image of what you see, what would it look like or feel like if you looked at it as a giant vision board? That all of a sudden, everything that was on the mirror in your life was coming true. Every desire that you could see in that mirror is reflecting back to you. You know, many of us look at mirrors and we think, oh, I don't eat, we even put shrouds over them. We do. Or sometimes we buy really tiny ones. Or for those of us that have issues with seeing up close, we buy the magnification of 10 times just so we can see our makeup in the morning. But what is it that we're really looking at? How about if we look at a positive life? How many of us have post-it notes all over our mirrors? Okay. Those wonderful little post-it notes. And in Science of Mind, what we teach is affirmations. And so those little post-it notes become simple reminders of how to see and live our life. What they become are little notes of love to us. They become notes of conviction of this is how I see my life. This is how I want my life to be. So right here, right now, I declare this to be so and so it is. And so every morning when we look in that mirror and we see those million post-it notes, we say, yes, this is what I want to do. And we declare them and we create them. What is your vision of your life? What is your giant post-it note? What do you see yourself doing? What is reflecting back? And when you see this reflection, what are you connecting to? Are you collecting to? Connecting to the God source that you are? Or are you just connecting to something that's got silver on the back and that you can see your image in? What does it mean for you to be that image that you really, really want to see? When we look at our image, as I said before, sometimes we see a negative image. I could do better, I could be this, I could be that. But really, what we're seeing is we're separating ourselves from our source, which is God. God is always our source. God is always love. God is always loving us. No matter what we see in that silver piece, love is reflecting back. But sometimes we don't always see it. We don't want to see it because we feel that maybe we're not worthy. We feel that we're not seeing the person that God sees or that God self sees. So we say, no, I don't deserve that. I'm not seeing that right now. I don't want to see it. Well, if we want to see a better reflection and we really want to work on those affirmations, we have to work from the inside out. It is an inside job. And I will continue to say that. God is in here. Love is in here. Our heart, where all things come from, is here. This is the root of everything that is. So when we start on the inside, we will begin to notice that there's shifts. And yes, it will be uncomfortable because all of a sudden we're realizing that the image we see in that mirror is, yes, that's what we're becoming. That's who we want to be. You know, the biggest thing we have is those detractors in our lives that are sometimes negative people. They often say, no, you can't be that. Why would you even try? Do you know that's too much money to go to school? How you've ever thought you might have to lose your job? You know, how many have a laundry list of things why you can't do what you're going to do? Do you really need that in your life? No. So how can you shift and change it? By seeing it differently, by experiencing it differently. You know, those detractors, those negative people, we could often say are, well, in the Christian sense, they would say it was the devil, or they would say it's evil. Do you know that devil and evil, spelled backwards, are basically live? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. So why aren't you living? That's what it's saying. It's saying that there's a negative. So when you look at it in the mirror, it reflects back differently. It says live. Live your life. Live to your highest potential. Live. Don't doubt. You know, our minds are very powerful. And part of the science of mind teaching is using that mind, which is, as we know it, to be God's mind. And everything works through us as us. So you're not alone in what you want or what are you becoming. You are part of that God self. So how do you attract what you want? Well, you vision or visualize, or you can also use a mental equivalent. And visioning is where you allow yourself to become quiet and you let God speak to you and give you all kinds of different images or whatever words there are as you have set your intention when you've sat down and said, okay, this is what I see in my life. This is what I want. So now God speak to me. And so you write down whatever it is that God gives you. When you visualize, you're seeing that life. You're seeing and you're living and you're doing, and you know that to be true without a doubt. You know and you're living that. The mental equivalent is when you're experiencing it. It's like when you want that new car and you think, okay, how do I do this? Go down to the dealership, get in that car, smell that leather, smell that new car smell, turn it on, hear the noise of that engine, whatever it is. Or maybe you want to move somewhere. Maybe you want to move to the beach. So then you start hearing the waves and you experience the water on your feet. And you also know, now the small detail is always know the most complete equivalent is that wherever you want to live, say you want to live to the beach, that you know that you can afford it. That you can see that rent or that home ownership or whatever it is. You know, it's funny, I've had people come to me and they say, you know, I saw the mental equivalent. I saw this, but it didn't exactly come out the way I thought it was going to. And I said, why? Well, it was a little more expensive. And it's interesting because when we do the mental equivalence, we really need to be in full detail. And part of that, I will let you know, is journal. Say, this is my recipe for what I want in my life. and know it to be true. The first principle of actualizing what we want and seeing that reflection is knowing that you have a relationship with it, you and your world. It's perfect. Essentially, what you see in your life's mirror is how you perceive yourself and your surroundings. How do you see yourself? How are you interacting? And when you see yourself, don't doubt. Don't doubt your worth. Don't doubt that it's not already there in front of you. The more proof the mirror shows, the reality mirror acts like a loyal friend, validating what you hold instead of trying to force changes in the reflections. I'm going to read that again. The more proof the mirror shows, the reality mirror acts like a loyal friend, validating what you hold instead of trying to force changes in the reflection. So, what we learn is that we can alter that present image. We can, as Ernest Holmes said, change our thinking. We can change our life. So, in going back to that negativity, we tend to have things go along really well in our lives, and then all of a sudden we get to a point where we go, oh, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to see this. One's called patience, and the other is called conviction. How convicted or how loyal are to your vision of what you want in your life? How loyal are you to that? What happens is we get into this cycle in our lives where we go, okay, everything's really good, everything's really wonderful. And then it goes, oh, okay, now it's really down. And it's really up again. And it's really down. And it's really up again. And we go through this. Why? Why can't we have a consistent line of positive energy where we say, yeah, right now there's a little bit of a challenge, but it's okay? That's how we can look at it. Yeah, there's some bumps in the road, but I'm just going to surf on them. I'm just going to ride them out and see what happens. I'm going to open up my heart and my mind to possibilities of what I need to know, not only about myself, but maybe the situation. Maybe we look at a situation that we really, really, really want in our lives, and then we find out all kinds of things that, oh, maybe that's not what I want in my life. And that's a good thing. So, what the mirror is reflecting back to you is it's okay. It's okay to have maybe some questions, maybe to do some research. So, picture yourself a few years ahead. What are you doing? And it can be whatever it is. What are you doing? What defines your continuous journey to that point of where you want to be, whatever time it is? How is it going to affect what you're doing right now? Oh my gosh, it might have that little word called change. It might have that little word called shift. Shift happens. It does. So, how do we get past those really uncomfortable times in our lives where we say, this is really scratchy? It's kind of like putting on a wool sweater and you're just like, ugh, this is not, no, I don't like this. This is not. But then eventually we throw it in the washer, put it on woolite, and it comes out soft. And that's what life can do too. We can wash all that fear, we can wash all that uncomfortableness away, and we can receive the more softer parts. Everything aligns with divine timing. Divine timing, not our timing, but divine timing. So, what that is God says, okay, we're working together on this. This is what's happening. This is what you're creating. All right, let's do it. We can do this right here, right now. The most important part of your reflection of what you want is your conviction to it. Not only your loyalty to it, but your conviction. When now this is I found this interesting when I was creating this talk. I thought, I never thought of it this way. When we think of, say, our bills or maybe our job or our boss or whatever negative is in our life, what do? We tend to really kind of like concentrate on it. If you have that much conviction of negative, what usually happens? If you have a bill that's due, then you get more bills and more bills. Or another feeling, it comes up and comes up. Because you have such conviction in your mind that this is what's happening, that everything is against you, it's going to. If you could share that same conviction for a positive life, oh my gosh, see what would happen. Can you imagine? So shift that negative conviction to a positive conviction, and I'd like to know what happens. Think about all the energy that you give a negative situation. Do you really want to allow it to do that? To take away? Why do we give it so much energy when really we should be shifting it to the more positive side? There's something else I would like you to think about. How many times in our lives have we gotten really down or depressed about something in our lives? And it's taken a while, and we think, oh, we'll never get through this. And then all of a sudden, the clouds part, the angels sing, and everything is better again. Why? Because again, we are in that conviction of I need to stay in this dark, gloomy place. Not really. And eventually, when those dark and gloomy places start to part, we'll see little cracks. And they'll be like, that'll come in. The cracks in our lives are where the light of love comes in. And it spreads. So in Science of Mind, we learn that negativity doesn't deserve our time. It doesn't deserve any part of us. Because life is much better when we live in a positive way. I understand it's hard sometimes to think in a positive way, especially if we lose our job. Well, think of it this way. It left a hole. God will fill it. What's your next highest good? What's your next highest plan? And then you'll say, well, Reverend Rhonda, I have no idea where I'm going. I just lost my job. I might lose my house. All of this stuff is starting to pile up on me. How am I going to do this? We don't ask how. We just accept and we know the things get better. So when we shift our mind, and I know some of us are thinking, oh, this is such a Pollyanna thing, but it's not. What it is, it's a conviction of living your life in a different realm. Instead of being in the negative, we live in love and we live in positivity. I can guarantee you, if you live your life in a positive manner and let the light in, your life will shift 100%. It's not going to stay stagnant. It can't. It can't possibly stay stagnant. And that's what negativity is. It's creating this like stagnant, just stuckness, which I know all of you are not stuck. I know that you are all continuing to move forward. Yeah, sometimes that mirror will reflect some different things. But again, think of it as a giant vision board. What do you want? What do you feel? When you start seeing a different image in that mirror, you will see a different image in your life. And if you have any questions about that, come see me. I'll gladly help you. So when you choose to say, this is all I want, be straightforward with yourself. Be convicted, knowing that this is truly what you want. Instead of looking at the reflection of how you don't see yourself, ask yourself how God sees you, which is a perfect child of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Each and every one of you. And so let's turn within for just a moment. Knowing right here, right now, that divine presence is in and working through everyone. It is that love. It is that reflection of love that we see in one another, not just in ourselves. But as we meet and greet people along our journey in this lifetime, we understand it. We understand it to be that God presence that we see. It is a beautiful journey. It is a beautiful journey in our convictions of knowing that we have the highest good at all times in our lives. That no matter what happens, we can shift, we can change. And with us changing, we also change the world. One less negative thing, one more positive thing goes out into the world. We are each like a pebble in a pond. We create ripples. So whatever we do goes out into the world. And so I know right here, right now, that we are ripples of love. That whatever is going on across the globe is being healed in peace, in harmony, and love. We know that we no longer need conflict, but love. So I claim this, I accept it, and knowing together, love builds a bridge. Love builds peace within each one of us. Again, as we are the mirror, reflecting love out into the world. And for this and so much more, I am truly grateful. I know it to be so. And so it is. Amen.